SEA Today.
And welcome back, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me today. My name is Andre. I'm your tutor that will be guiding you over the next 100 days. We are getting closer and closer to SEA June the 10th, and from March the 2nd, we only have 100 more days to go until that day. So we know it has been a tough year preparing for this big day, with COVID coming into the mix and preventing us from being in school and missing out on classes. It has been tough. So A's Online Tutoring Services, we're offering this free platform to all students across Trinidad and Tobago preparing for SEA. You will come, we will study together, we will do questions together, we'll be doing practice tests for both mathematics and for English language. And we're going to spend these next 100 days really putting in the work to ensure that we make it very, very tricky for these examiners to place us, or whoever places us into these schools. We have to make it hard for them, right? So make sure and share, like, subscribe, get as many people as you can on to this platform. The more people, the merrier. We will be journeying together, and my goal is to just try and make the exam a little bit more comfortable for yourself, all students taking the exam this year. Approach it with a lot more confidence, knowing that you've put the work in, and that's what we're doing now. So we know we don't have a lot of time, so enough talking, let's get to it. So today we're going to be starting with the SEA specimen paper for 2021. We're looking at mathematics today, section 1, and we're taking it easy, so we're just doing the first 10 questions. Alright, now of course we have to keep in mind that time is a very important factor when it comes to completing the exam and getting all your marks. So just make sure that you keep your eye on the clock, and as soon as the clock starts, we will start. So the paper will look a little different because we're doing it question by question, page by page, but these are the same questions from the paper. Alright, so let's begin. Number 1, write the numeral to represent 305,048. Write the numeral to represent 305,048. So once we write in numerals, what we have to do is group them in threes. So the first part of the number is 305, right? So we're going to actually write out that number, which is a simple number to write. 305. Now, because this is 305,000, we normally would separate our thousands with a comma. So we'll add in our comma, and we have to do and 48. Now, the thing about it is, we can put the 48, but we also have to account for our hundreds, because they didn't mention any hundreds here. They mentioned 100,000, but not hundreds. So for the hundreds digit, we will represent it by putting in a 0, and this will be 305,048. Alright, so that's the first one. Let's move on. Number 2. State the place value of the digit 3 in the numeral 653,581. So we have the number 653,581. And they want us to state the place value, so we could write in place values for the digits, starting with the smallest, the ones, the tens, then we have hundreds. For after the hundreds, we have thousands. So the 3, which is what they want us to find, is in the position of thousands. place value of the 3 is thousands. Alright, make sure and spell your word correctly and write neatly so we can understand. Okay, number 3. Round 6,498 to the nearest thousand. Okay, so rounding off is a very simple process, exercise. A couple things you have to do. First thing you have to do is identify the position that they want us to round off, which in this case is 1000. So we're going to go to the thousands position, which is the 6 right here. And once we get that, we will draw a line after the 6. Now, the number coming after the line, because this is less than 5, our answer will have 6. We will leave 6 as is, and all the numbers coming after the line will add a 0. So if we rounding off 6,498 to the nearest thousand, that will be 6,000. That is the nearest thousand to that number. Alright, so we have a little table here for number 4. It reads, the scores in a video game are given for 4 players. So we could see here players' scores in a video game. That's the title for the table. We have the players on one side and then their scores on the other side. Then they're asking who scored the highest. Alright, so we have to go through and see who have the highest score here. And starting at the top, we see Dev. Dev has 46,978. Alright. Looking at Liz after Dev, we could see that, Liz have 49 and Dev have 46,000. Liz have 49,687. So already Dev is out because Liz has more than Dev. So we could cross off Dev. And then we could move on to Suri. When you look at Suri, you could see that Suri has 48,679, which is less than how much Liz has, right? So Suri is another one we could eliminate. So we're now down to just 2. Between Liz and Vidal, they both have 49,000, but looking at the digit after the 9 in both numbers, one is 6 and one is 8. So since 8 is bigger than 6, Vidal, who has 49,876, would have the highest score. So our answer would be Vidal. Alright, so that is number 4, and we're in 5 minutes. Let's keep going. This one, let's see how much. Okay, so we could zoom to read. It says the items below are on display at Sarah's electronics store. What fraction of the items are phones? Alright, so they want to know what fraction of the items are phones. So once we form in a fraction, it has to always have the total as the denominator or the number on the bottom. So we know we're interested in the phones, but let's count up how much we have in total. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So in total we have 14. So our denominator should have 14. Our fraction should have 14 on the bottom. But the question asks us about phones. We could see that it's kind of small there. So to count up our phones, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 phones. So our number on top, the numerator now, would be 8. Alright. So the thing about fractions, we cannot leave them in a form where they could be reduced to its smallest or its lowest form. So these two numbers, 8 and 14, are both even numbers, which means they could both be divided by 2. So we're going to take the 2 and say 2 into 8 is 4. So we're going to cross off the 8, we get 4, and 2 into 14, you'll get 7. So our smallest fraction for this answer would be 4 over 7, our reduced fraction, and that will be a final answer. Alright, let's move along. 1/5 of Gail's allowance is $30. Calculate Gail's allowance. Alright, so if 1/5 of Gail's allowance is equal to $30, once we're trying to find out the total, or we're trying to find out the whole, or we're trying to find out 5 out of 5, because we have 1/5, we want to find out what is the whole, what is 5 out of 5. What we have to do is take the 30 as a whole number, put it over 1, and divide it by the fraction. Once you want to go back and find out the total, what the total was before, you have to divide by the fraction. And the rule for dividing by a fraction is the first fraction stays as is, you change the divide to multiply, and then you flip the second fraction. Nothing here could reduce, so you multiply going across on top. 30 times 5, 5 zeros are 0, 5 threes are 15. So you get 150 over 1. So our final answer would be $150. 0 cents. And that is Gail's total allowance. Alright, number 7. Place the numbers below in the correct positions on the number line. Alright, so here we have a number line, and we're looking at the first digit that they have here is 0, and then we have 1. Now all decimals between 0 and 1 are going to have a whole number 0 in the decimal. So the number coming before the point would be a 0. And we only have one number like that here, which is 0.95. So what we will do is we will take 0.95 and put it in the position between 0 and 1, because that's the only decimal that has a 0 in front of it. The other two decimals, 1.25 and 1.70, these decimals will come between whole number 1 and whole number 2. So once you pass 1, you're going to have all your decimals starting with 1 point, until you pass 2, the whole number 2. So to put in the numbers in order, we're looking at 25 and 70. We're going to put the smaller one first, because as you go up the number line, the numbers get bigger. So you get 1.25 in the second box in the middle, and then 1.70 in the last box on the end. Alright, number 8. It says express the shaded area as a decimal, which represents part of the whole. So the thing about decimals is decimals are fractions, fractions are decimals, and percentages all tie into that as well. So to begin, we could write this out as a fraction, because just like how we counted up the electronics, we're going to count up the blocks. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks in total. So our fraction will be over 8, because that's the total. And they asked us about the shaded area. So shaded will be 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to put 4 over 8. And again, our fractions cannot stay. If they could be reduced, it must be reduced. And these are both even numbers. They could be reduced by 2. So you'll end up with 2 into 4 is 2. 2 into 8 is 4. And we could reduce these numbers again using 2. 2 into 2 is 1. 2 into 4 is 2. This can't reduce any smaller, so we have a half, and we have to put this as a decimal. To change a fraction to a decimal, we have to do as the fraction says, and this fraction is telling us that 1 is being divided by 2. So we could actually work that out. 1 being divided by 2. And actually, because we're trying to get a decimal as the question asks us, we should have a decimal here, point in a number we're trying to divide, followed by zeros in case we need it. Alright? So we're going to start by saying 2 into 1. First number on the inside. Now 2 cannot go into 1 because 1 is smaller. So you say 2 into 1 cannot. You put a 0 on top, and then you put a point. Why you put a point? Because right after the 1 comes a point. So you must put in your point on top. After you include in your point, you're going to say 2 into 10. The 2 digits together now. 2 into 10 is 5. So we write 5 on top. And like a normal long division, you say 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. And you're going to subtract to see if you have any remainder. And we actually don't. So once you have no remainder, you stop. So the shaded area as a decimal will be 0.5. Alright, next, number 9. Natalie has 7 bills in her pocket with a total value of $48. Write the missing values in the 2 bills above. So she's supposed to have $48 in total according to the question here, and she has some missing bills. So let's see how much bills she does have. So we have 20, we have 5, and we have 3 $1 bills. And because we want to find the total, we're going to add 5 plus 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7, plus 1 is 8, and then 2 plus nothing is 2. So far she has 28, but the question told us she's supposed to have 48. So if she has 28 in bills, we want to see how much more she needs, or how much she's missing. So we'll subtract the 28 from the 48. 8 take away 8 is 0. 4 take away 2 is 2. So she's supposed to have 20 more dollars. But the thing about it is, she has 2 bills missing. So we're going to take that 20 and divide it into 2, which is a simple division. 2 into 2 is 1. 2 ones are 2. 0. We bring down our next number. 2 into 0 is 0. So each one of these bills is supposed to be $10 bill. Let me make it look like their money a little bit. Nice. Last question for today. Miss Tang bought 4 sets of donuts. Let's zoom in a little bit so we can see this question properly. She created a package of treats using 2/3 of a set. How many packages did she create using all 4 sets? Alright, so we can see she have 4 boxes of donuts here, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Each box has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 donuts. So in total, 9 donuts by 4 boxes. 9 fours are, she has 36 donuts in total. Now she created the packages by putting 2/3 of one set, 2/3 of a set in a package. But a set is 9. So we need to find out, well, what is 2/3 of that set? So 2/3 will be 2 over 3 multiplied by the total in the box, 9 over 1. And once you multiply in fractions, you have to reduce and then multiply. Reduce where you can, and we can reduce the 3 and the 9 using the number 3. 3 into 3 is 1, 3 into 9 is 3. So nothing else could reduce. We will multiply going across. On top, 2 times 3 is 6, and 1 times 1 is 1. So each package she created has 6 donuts. So if it is she has 36 donuts in total, and she's dividing up those 36 donuts into packages of 6, we have to divide the 36 by 6. 36 divided by 6. And 6 into 36 is 6. 6 sixes are 36. So in total, she has 6 packages. She created 6 packages. And that will bring us to the last question for today. If there were any questions that were giving you any kind of trouble, you can go back, take a look at it again. Get a little paper, a little book. You can write down the question, work it with me as I work it, as I explain it. Pause the video, try and read the question yourself. And yeah, we'll stop here for tonight. So this brings us to the end. We can pause our clock. This brings us to the end of our first essay today. It's going to be a series of 100 days of work. We're going to be uploading videos on a daily basis every week as we get closer and closer to that big day. We're going to make sure you're comfortable, you're confident, and you're sure about that first choice. Alright, so thanks for joining me. Remember to subscribe to A's Online. We have tutors, we go live 7 days a week. We're doing this series to try and reach out to as many students as we can to make sure that everybody is ready for that big day. So share, like, subscribe, and thanks for joining. I see you today. That was day 1. See you tomorrow.
SEA Today.